So, Destiny, can you start by introducing yourself?
My name's Destiny, I'm 23 from Nottingham and I'm a retail assistant.
My name is Ruben, I'm 27, I'm located in West London, I'm a senior technician.
I'm Jodie Law, I'm a producer, presenter on BBC Radio Nottingham. I also do a bit of reporting. I also work at East Midlands Today, freelancing, and I started my radio career back in 2007.
This is Neil from Birmingham City University.
Is radio more inclusive than visual mediums such as like TV?
I don't think so, no. When I do listen to the radio, I don't think so. I think TV is a bit more than radio would be.
So why do you think TV is a lot more inclusive?
I think because they have to be, because people actually see them. So on the radio, I guess you can pretend to be anyone because you don't really know someone's race or size or anything like that by their voice. Mm-hmm. So on the TV, I guess they have to put different kind of people out there.
Yeah, because I feel like TV is more filtered to an extent. Radio is filtered also, but you can also share much more of your views on it. Again, because TV, because with TV you can't mask. With radio you can mask behind you who you are, so you can say what you want to say, and no one necessarily will know who you are. You can say your name, but no one can genuinely put a face to the voice. But with TV, because you're showing yourself to the general public, you kind of have to filter certain things. You're broadcast to live people. With radio, radio is more of a voice, so your voice is what would impact those that listen.
I think the role of women in radio is absolutely critical in terms of the health of the industry. I think it's vital that radio reflects the world that it's broadcasting to and the people that listen to it, and I think that's really important that there's a kind of diversity of voices, and it's not just about gender, it's about all sorts of different ways that you can think about someone's background. I think what's changed in terms of women in radio, perhaps it's as much about societal change, attitudes change, and that is reflected in radio.
And as a professional, obviously, in the radio, does having women present on radio matter to you, and why?
Of course. I am like, not only just women, but obviously people of colour and from all backgrounds, because we make up society. Like, it goes to diverse thinking and diverse thoughts and diverse experiences, and it's not just about having women, it's about class as well. Like, I don't just want to hear what somebody from a middle class that has never known what it's like to watch the electric meter go down and be like, oh my god, I'm not going to have a shower before the electric runs out. Like, you need, do you know what I mean? Like, you need to have people from all walks of life, because you've got to represent the society that we're living in. And to be fair, in terms of representation as a whole, I don't think we're there yet. But in representation of male, female, I think we're really getting there.
And do you believe it matters to have women on the radio?
Yeah, because you also get a feel of how that person, not person, but in general, how women can be perceived in radio. Mm-hmm. So if she's expressing her own opinion, you would take it in as that's how females can have their opinion on certain issues. Let's say, for instance, presidential election, or something to do with the COVID situation at the moment. You would get two sides of the spectrum, just a male's point of view, a woman's point of view.
I do, and I think there's so many good schemes out there to get people from BAME backgrounds into radio, into TV, into the media industry. The difficulty is that people coming from those backgrounds may not know necessarily where to look to find them. So probably the opportunities are there, but if you're not looking in the right places, and if they're not being presented in front of you, it's going to be difficult to find them. So I do think there are more opportunities now to include BAME people, but it is that thing as well, that when you walk into an office as a person of colour, or even as a woman, or as a woman of colour, you've got a double whammy going on, and then you're surrounded by people who don't know what your lived experience is as a woman and as a woman of colour, then it does take time to build up the confidence to maybe like call people out on certain things, or to even just bring up an idea in the ideas meeting, because like you might say something about, you might have an idea, I don't know, about afro hair in lockdown. Like if you're surrounded by women or men, white women who can't relate to your personal lived experience, it's then hard for you to translate that, if that makes sense. So I think there's more opportunity, but even then when you are through the door, you still feel like you stand out. And I remember doing, like, I went on a course, it wasn't a course, we had like these workshops, and there was led by these two black women, and they says like, you are always going to stand out, so stand out for the right reasons. So like don't try and hide in the corner, because you're probably going to be the only person of colour in the room and the woman, so just stand out for the right reasons.
I don't know if they mean to do it on purpose, but I don't feel like they do include people. I feel like radio a lot of the time is mainly for, I don't want to say just like Caucasian people, but I do feel it is that, because when it comes to, I don't know, black people on radio, it only seems to be one kind of section. So at a certain time of evening, like, I don't know, like at 7 p.m. or something, they will have an hour slot of playing whatever they want to play. It's not an all-day kind of thing, so I don't feel like they do include them at all.
Where did your career, so obviously it began at Kemet, but where did you decide that radio was for you?
I started thinking the radio was for me way before I started at Kemet. I was lucky in the fact that I always knew what I wanted to do. From about 15, I knew I wanted to be on the radio, be on TV. I wanted to present. That's what I wanted to do. And so, Kemet sort of came along at the right time, and it gave me something to do. It filled my time. I learned so much whilst I was there. And then I did that thing where you take a year out and you think, yes, I'm going to break it, I'm going to make it. And then nothing happens. And you're like, oh, okay. And when you come from a background, so I'm from a working class background, I was the first in my family to go to university, and I didn't know nobody in the media industry. So it's not one of those things where doors just get open for you if you don't know somebody already. It's really difficult to get in. So after taking a year out and not going to finish my A-levels, took a year out, and then I was like, right, I better go to uni now and go and get some qualification. So I went to Staffordshire University because Nottingham Trent, I didn't get the grades, and my Kemet FM experience, they didn't care about how radio experience they had. They wanted grades. So I had to go to Staffordshire, and then I did broadcast journalism there. I got a degree, I got a first, and yay! And whilst I was in my second year, you have to do some work experience. So I managed to get some work experience at Radio Nottingham. I did 2 weeks and then finished. And then they says, do you want some BA shifts? And I was like, yeah, sure. No idea what a BA shift was. I was like, I literally just signed up to something and didn't have a clue what it was. I was like, of course I will. I'll figure out when I'm there what it is. So that's what I did. And yeah, that's where I am now.
What do you actually love about your job role as, like, obviously a journalist, doing your own radio show? What do you actually love about doing that?
For me, it's hearing people's stories. Radio is one of those things, it's not about you, it's about your audience, and I'm so nosy. It just gives you a license and a permission to ask the questions that people are either too afraid to ask, too scared to ask, and you can dig really deep. And I love to hear people's stories, their experiences, and holding people to account, because depending on situations that people are facing, that sometimes they don't get the answers that they need from the people that are in power. And being a journalist gives you that authority to ask those questions for those people and get answers, and problem solve. And
have you noticed a change in the way women are included in radio programming?
I don't think I'm probably old enough to sort of, I mean, when you sort of look back at some of the pictures from here, somebody posted a picture in a group the other day, and it was like Radio Nottingham, I think it's like 35 years ago, and there was like, in this picture, there was 6 men who were all white. So it was like, okay, there's not a woman there, and there's not a person of colour there. Obviously I wasn't around then. But, for me, like now, there's definitely more women in the office. And I also went down to work in London for a while. I went to work at the BBC News channel as a producer. That was in 2018, so a couple of years ago. And there are so many women there, and it's nice to see women in senior roles as well, because the more senior women are, the more diverse the teams are, because there's no point having sort of diversity within the office at one level if it's not diverse as you go up the levels, because you still need diverse thinking all the way up. It is massive. Like, you've just got to keep on pushing and keep on going, and just believe in yourself is like the starting point. Like, you can, like, only you can stop yourself, and only you can make it happen. In terms of getting to where you want to be, plan it, like, write it down, like, speak it out, like, don't, because I think people are afraid to sort of say it out loud, because especially when you say, oh, I want to be a radio presenter, people go, like it's not possible. It's like, but there are radio presenters, so why is that, why is it an impossibility? But I do think setting goals is like massive, and that's something that I've always done from like I was 15. Like, when I sort of decided that I wanted to be radio presenter, TV presenter, I started setting goals, and I would do it like I'd do like 3 monthly goals, I'd do yearly goals, I'd do 3-year goals, I'd do 5-year goals, all written down, and I'd put them in a place where I'd see them every day, and I'll reevaluate them like maybe every like 3 to 6 months. And it's okay to change what your goals are, because you change, your life change, your priorities change. That doesn't mean you're a failure, but I do think that setting goals and like deciding where you want to be, like setting that, so this is like the end game, that's what I want to do, then work back from it. Starting point would be work experience. BBC website does work experience like every, like, there'll be a season, and this is the thing, it always happens in a time when you'll come across it like, oh, it's just closed, fantastic. So it's one of those things that you've just got to keep going back and keep checking to see if they've opened up. So there's BBC work experience website, there's also the jobs website as well, like careers. There's also, I think it's called the Creative Access Fund or something like that.